This is Isaiah. Spoilers ahead. Definitely spoilers ahead for Thunderbolts asterisk 2025. Why is the asterisk there? Well, that's because
we'll get to it, right?
Yeah. They're changing the name of it in some circles, and they're keeping it Thunderbolts in other circles. It drove me nuts that they were the Thunderbolts without Thunderbolt Ross or Baron Zemo, who's still out there somewhere. But anyways, after finding themselves ensnared in a death trap, 7 disillusioned cast-offs must embark on a dangerous mission that will force them to confront the darkest corners of their past. If mental health is a touchy subject for you, this is not the movie for you, because whether they hit the mark or not, it's what they're trying for. And it's they get deep into it. So if it's not your cup of tea, skip this one altogether.
Yeah. I guess maybe we should start with our current thoughts on the MCU going into this movie.
Sure. What was the last MCU movie?
I don't know. Because the last MCU movie I watched was Deadpool and Wolverine, but I don't even view that as an MCU movie. Before that, maybe Guardians 3, I think.
Oh, Captain America 4.
Didn't watch that. I remember I watched Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and I was like, okay, I think I'm done with the MCU as a whole, except for like certain experiences here and there. Then I watched Deadpool and Wolverine because, as I said, not really viewed as an MCU movie. But yeah, I was kind of like out of it, where I was, especially with the TV shows, the first trailer for this movie came out and I was like, this looks kind of lame. Yeah. I have no interest in seeing this movie. I was just planning on being done with the MCU for the most part, completely.
Yeah, I think I texted you about it after I saw it.
Yeah.
One thing right off the top that almost got me to not see this movie is that they have the knockoff, I keep wanting to call her Deathstroke, but it's Taskmaster on the far left. This person is on the screen with a full mask for about 30 seconds and then gets shot in the face. And I was like, oh, there's no way they're killing this off. They do.
Oh, yeah.
They right a wrong that they wronged in 2021 with the Black Widow movie. The Black Widow movie kind of sucked, and that had a lot to do with it.
Well, that was just kind of like the idea with this movie, I felt like, in general, where it was just taking all these things that you generally didn't really like and then made you kind of like them. Except for like Wyatt Russell as John Walker. You know, I did watch Falcon and Winter Soldier, and that show was not great, but I really liked him in it. Yeah. And that's why I was happy to see him back, because I was like, he was probably the best part of that show. And did you ever watch that show at all? Or
I watched the first episode. Okay. Never touched it.
So you didn't really get to see him at all, but you get to see, like, I'm assuming you got to see why I liked him so much in that show, because he's very similar to that with the way he approaches stuff. But you look at like which, by the way, my biggest complaint with the movie is Ghost on the left there.
Yeah.
Annoying. She's not bad in the movie, but she doesn't really do anything either. Are we just diving straight into spoilers, I guess?
Might as well. But she's so irritating. I couldn't.
Like, you don't even see any backstory stuff with her at all. And that's kind of like, I guess, a little bit of my complaint, is because I'd like to like her, but they didn't do anything. Like, you get to see a bunch of Yelena's backstory stuff from the Visions. You get to see one of John Walker's, and then you get to see Valentina's, and then that's it. You know, it felt like weight was brought back to stuff, instead of, you know, one guy shooting a laser into a giant space lizard as it flies through metal in space or something. You know, like that's kind of what the feel of the MCU has become recently, is just like action figures like just being smashed into each other with as if nothing happened. Whereas in this, they're a lot more vulnerable, and they do a lot more vulnerable type fights, and you can actually feel the weight when they're like hitting stuff. And they kind of make fun of it, where it's just like, oh, we just punch stuff. Is that it?
The Red Guardian, they need to take his character and turn him down about 20%, because he was so obnoxious. And I like the actor, I like the character, but he was so over the top. There was one point in the movie. Now the theater was relatively full. I went at 9 o'clock in the morning on my off week, and it was relatively full for being 9 a.m. in a freaking movie theater. But nonetheless, these people, there was a section of people who were laughing at every joke, even like the worst corny jokes. But Red Guardian, at one point, they're in the final area and stuff's flying around and he grabs a pillow and he's like, oh, the pillow, whatever.
Evil pillow.
It was dead silent in that
Evil
theater.
pillow.
It was so cringy that, like, it's just one of those moments where you feel it just crawling up your spine. It was so terrible.
It's funny you say that because that made me, like,
it did not make you
dry
laugh.
chuckle.
Oh my god!
I thought this is so stupid that it made me kind of laugh. All right, that's the kind of laugh that I got from it. It was just like, that's dumb.
Yeah,
I can't help but kind of laugh at how dumb it is.
So throughout the movie, and I know that Sentry was in it from the jump, but throughout the movie, I'm thinking, okay, this is a complex character. Please do not just make him the big bad, kill him off, and start over with someone because we know you're going to make a second one. They do the first half, but they don't do the second half. Now, I want to, if you have a point you want to bring up, well, I looked this up because I have to show this.
Yeah. I think you kind of brought it up, but I think the real reason why I like this movie so much, and I enjoyed it even more on my second watch through because I was paying attention to it more, is that it kind of has a theme again that's, you know, not stupid, not simple, and it kind of makes sense for what, you know, it's complex enough and deep enough that it can apply to a lot of people. And I just think, especially for me, it's something that really affected me in a lot because that's something that I struggle with sometimes as well. And, you know, I can't say that I think everybody struggles with that kind of thing, but maybe I'm getting a little bit too personal here, but, you know, the idea of like depression, loneliness, and needing support to overcome it, I feel myself, you know, feeling like that sometimes where Yelena's having this talk where she goes, you know, I'm home, I feel alone, I go to work, I come back, I'm by myself, I get depressed, I go to bed, I wake up, rinse and repeat. It's just nothing but loneliness. And I can't help but get inside my brain and think that sometimes myself. And I really like this. The whole point of the movie is it's not about like, oh, you can beat your problems by just either like superhero stuff like beating it and brute forcing, or as she says, like stuffing it down, where it's just like you have to open up yourself to other people, and that's how you can overcome these types of things sometimes.
Kind of a nice little message.
Yeah, I really liked it.
So now with the Sentry, the arc that I remember him the most from is Siege. Now I did a little mini spoiler review up on the channel on YouTube, but this is what he looks like when he loses control and completely goes insane. And I was hoping we get a bit of that. I think he looked a lot cooler than I thought.
Yeah, the visual
he was
design
gonna end up. Yeah,
it were like they just
the darkness.
They get all the colors gone, and you just have the two glowing eyes.
Yeah, in the Siege story, it's Norman Osborn. I can't remember if he's president or like director of the CIA or something, as the Iron Patriot, and they're in Asgard, which at that point is floating over Oklahoma. Yeah. So the
comic book stuff.
Yeah, it's the heroes on the ground storming Asgard to fight off the villains, which everyone thinks at this point Norman Osborn's a good guy, but everyone knows
it's Norman Osborn.
Yeah. They do a little bit of this in this movie. The Sentry is manipulated by like the smarter person. And they do that with, is that the girl from Seinfeld?
Yes, Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Okay.
So she's actually been in a lot of this stuff before. I just think it's a lot of the stuff that you haven't seen.
Yeah.
Actually, she was at the end of Black Widow.
Was she?
With Yelena there, because then remember
I thought it was the mother at first that was in Black Widow. But
yeah.
Anyways, so Sentry rips Hercules in half and then turns into this, and he ends up being the big bad. And all I could think was, please, let this guy's arc build out. And they're actually going to. He was the villain per se. He was the manipulated villain, because the main villain is Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Yeah.
But he becomes like the thing to fight. And I thought they were going to kill him. But they don't. They do a nice thing. And if you could drag this out, Sentry is a strong enough character to be the main villain in the Avengers movie.
I did have slight spoilers when I went into this movie because unfortunately the movie was only out for 5 days, and then they were posting all over their social media, hey, here's the actual name of the movie is The New Avengers.
Right.
Because that's what the asterisk means, is because it's Thunderbolts asterisk, and then it changes to asterisk The New Avengers. That got spoiled, and then I saw like a 20-second clip that showed the Sentry like in his black form and doing his hand with the black shadow stuff. And I was like, I am so mad I saw that, because when I got to watch it my second time with my friends who didn't know any of that stuff, the first time that he does that to somebody, my friend was like, what the like, that is
what
terrifying.
About when he does that to that child?
So my first time watching it, pardon my language, but somebody in the theater when that happened went, holy shit to the child. And my friend, the second time I watched it, did something similar. He didn't swear or anything. He's like, what the? We're just like, Marvel just killed a child. All right.
Yeah, because Red Guardian saves her from falling debris, and then he
gives her a smile, and then all of a sudden, but that's such a great like horror aspect to it. And I don't know how you felt about it at first, but at first I really liked it. I was like, man, this is so dark. And then when they revealed that, oh, they're not actually dead, it's like a prison thing. At first I was like, that's slightly disappointing, but then when I realized what they were going for it, I was like, okay, I'm able to get over that then.
To be honest with you, once the little girl poofed away, I'm like, well, they're gonna bring them all back, because there's no way this girl's like 9 years old. Also, she's like, oh, thank you, sir.
We had talked about it last time before you watched the movie, but you thought it was strange that they got like Lewis Pullman to play Sentry because of like his build. What did you think of him as the Sentry in the movie?
I liked him, except that first Sentry fight scene was janky as hell.
Yeah,
what the hell was that?
It's just bad anime. Do you know what it was? Is you could tell the movie went from being able to do all these really good looking practical stuff to, okay, we kind of have to use CGI for this. And I don't know if this is true or not, but I really feel like they didn't put a lot of money into this movie because they didn't have as much faith in it maybe at first. But they did the best that they could, because there were parts of it, like you said, that looked really not great. There's parts of it that looked kind of okay. I liked the fight overall because it was just...
With the Sentry, he's basically Superman with no kryptonite. His kryptonite is bipolar disorder.
Yeah.
So it's crazy to watch, because there's no... And I was trying to think of like what type of hero they could get to thwart him, but it would have to be one of those situations where, on your left, where everyone lines up to fight him, because there's nothing that can be done.
Yeah.
Did I mention who the original villain was supposed to be of this?
No.
John Walker.
Oh, really? Interesting. Yeah. I really like John Walker a lot. I really like Wyatt Russell a lot. And
I would suggest, Marvel, I know you listen to this show, I would suggest that you don't keep adding characters to this team. If you want to give a Taskmaster who's like Henry Cavill or something like that, that's actually Henry Cavill, or that dude that is Jack Reacher,
Alan Rickinson or something like
Richardson,
that.
Yeah. So as Taskmaster, because both of those guys are like jacked, but they have personality. The Taskmaster is a sarcastic asshole, which will fit right in, but we all know what they're going to do with him. Now, if you can find it within yourself to not screw it up, then that's fine. You don't need to add 7 other characters to this team of like just the most mundane, ridiculous, annoying actors and just these characters who don't matter. But I know that's what you're going to do. So I'm going to enjoy this while it lasts. Now, with
people have been saying this, like they're saying, "Oh, Marvel's back," or "Marvel's so back," and I'm like, and I wrote this down here because somebody said something. I was like, "Marvel isn't back, but it's a step in the right direction."
But not even.
Yeah, it's a single step.
It's a solid standalone movie. It's a wait and see approach.
Yeah,
that's what that is. Now it's the same thing with Deadpool and Wolverine. I don't count Deadpool and Wolverine as an MCU movie.
It doesn't feel like an MCU movie either.
But it's a Marvel movie that was good. And then you think about Guardians 3, a very good... That's the last very good MCU movie before this one. But other than that, they've all been trash. Did I watch Captain America 4? No. Hell no.
They make fun of it in this movie, actually. Because another thing I brought up was I liked how the end credits, like there were the post-credits scene, was like how they used to be. it just sets up the next movie coming out. Not a movie that may be coming out or something else that's random where it's like, hey, we got Thanos' brother that shows up at the end of Eternals, and it's like, huh?
Is that what happened?
Yeah, at the end of Eternals, they have Harry Styles as Thanos' brother pop up and say, hey, I need your help with something. I'm Thanos' brother. Like Phobos or whatever the heck his name was.
But what they should have done with these two post-credit scenes is flip-flop them. Because the first 100%. One, the mid-credit scene, is just Red Guardian trying to get some lady at the supermarket to recognize him off the cereal box.
Yeah, it's a fun little goof thing.
But that one should have been at the way end.
Yep.
And then the one that had more information where it seems like Sam Wilson is trying to
sue them for copyright of the Avengers or something.
Yeah,
I like how they're kind of making fun of him. Where it's just like, yeah, nobody liked Captain America for us. Let's just make fun of the guy.
Yeah, which is what they should do.
Yeah.
So,
and that's it. My friend's one complaint at first when we were watching the movie was he's like, I don't like how they're calling them the new Avengers because they don't feel like the Avengers or anything. I was like, don't worry, they kind of addressed that at the end sequence, which he felt satisfied after. It was just like, yeah, even they are kind of like not confident in calling themselves the new Avengers, but it's not a point about the name of the team. It's really just about like who they are as a team.
The name of the team does bother me though.
Yeah.
Thunderbolts, and they did the asterisk, whatever, but the Thunderbolts they explain away as Yelena's childhood soccer team's team name, where the girl took a dump in the middle of the field, but the Thunderbolts name comes from General Thunderbolt Ross, who they did just introduce into the MCU and put him in Captain America 4. So,
I need to look this up because I asked my friend this as well, and he said that was the second iteration of the team was named after Thunderbolt
Baron
Ross.
Zemo is the original creator of the Thunderbolt.
I would have been
why they didn't bring Baron Zemo back. His character's still
that
alive.
Has been the biggest complaint about this. The second good part of the Falcon and Winter Soldier movie was him playing Zemo. Something really good that this movie got, that old Marvel movies got, that they've kind of lost sight of, is simple scenes like when they're in the back of that truck and she's like, yeah, this is my Black Widow laser thing and this is my pistol, and he's like, well, this is my pistol, and this. But just like doing small talk that just felt like natural and real and just really like grounds you in with them, or like that. I was like, man, this is like the most relatable thing in the entire movie. And man, they haven't done this in a Marvel movie in so long, where it just makes it feel real.
It didn't have to be this way, Marvel. You could have just hired people who wanted to write good stories, and I mean, hell, you have tons of good stories. They're called comic books. Maybe pick them up, give them a read, because this one felt very comic booky in a positive way.
Mm-hmm.
They tried to throw in some stuff at the end. They tried to do some deep stuff with the mental health stuff. Did it hit? I think for some people it did. For some people it didn't. For me, it was a nice attempt at like saying, hey, just because you feel like you're alone doesn't mean you are alone. You're not alone in the way that you're feeling alone, even though they have all these people around them. And I mean, I guess in Yelena's case, a lot of people don't know she exists.
Yeah,
but you know, it's just a nice little attempt. Whether you thought it landed or not isn't really the point. They respected what they were trying to do.
Yeah, I thought it landed really well for me. Like I was like, I wasn't expecting something like that, and the fact that it was like done tastefully is the other thing. Something that Marvel hasn't been able to do well so far is handle things tastefully.
But yeah. All right, so 91 million so far domestically, 88 million internationally, or is that 86?
80.
Oh my
86.
God, 86. I guess I could have done the math at the bottom, but 86 million for a total of 177,301 and counting. It's been in for less than 2 weeks.
Yeah,
it'll be 2 weeks actually today.
Yeah.
So
if you go back to the other one, the Letterboxd, I want to see who the guy who directed this. Jason Schreier. That name's or Jake Schreier.
Jason Schreier's that.
Okay, that's why. Okay.
Polygon and Kotaku, like that loser.
Yeah.
Never heard of any of those.
It has like Steven Yeun in it. It was a Netflix original last year, and I heard people saying good stuff about it. So, which, by the way, funny little quote is the guy who's playing Lewis, or I guess Sentry says, like, you know, I feel invincible. And that made me chuckle because Steven Yeun, who voices Invincible in the TV show, was supposed to play Sentry. Funny, yeah, the guy who played
Marvel.
Glenn.
Good casting choice. And not casting Glenn. Good lord. Anyways, let's give our ratings and then we'll wrap it up here.
Yeah.
So, Letterboxd has a 3.7 out of 5. So, I mean, we do out of 10 here.
I'm still kind of going back and forth, and I think a 9 is a little too high. So I think right now I'm sitting at an 8 out of 10. It's my second favorite movie of the year, even though I haven't seen many, as we discussed last time.
Behind what?
On our podcast. Behind Sinners. I still like Sinners just slightly more. They're like, some of the issues that we talked about with this movie, that like the comedy. Well, so it's
this to me is the third best if you count Deadpool and Wolverine, and I guess I will for this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It is the third best Marvel movie since Endgame. That includes the 2 Spider-Man movies, which I thought were decent. But in order, for me, it would be Deadpool and Wolverine, Guardians 3, then this. It is a fun watch. It's very interesting. And it kind of brought me back to a simpler time where I could just go to a movie. Before the it's strange because the MCU exploding got all these movies of characters who I loved as a kid. But also, it got all these people in working on these things who don't care about it and just want the money.
Mm-hmm.
But now it seems like since they've lost so much over the years, we might be getting back to that a little bit. Because it seems like they cared about these characters, with the exception of Taskmaster, hilariously, because nobody cared about that
I feel
character.
like they cared enough to kill her off immediately.
They cared. That's one of the things. They cared enough about the fans to get rid of this person that nobody liked. It was a mistake. I don't know if they righted the wrong or if they fixed the mistake entirely, but they did what they could.
Yeah, it's so weird because all the characters in this movie, besides, let's say, Bucky, were from things that were really not great. Because they were able to make it work, even though these characters came from a bunch of stuff that didn't work.
Yeah, so they're taking the characters because they can't make a Black Widow sequel. They can't make a Captain America and the Winter, whatever, Captain Falcon and the Soldier, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Sequel. So they're taking characters who they think the audience likes and putting them in this team to see if it takes off. And I'm hoping this does well. I don't want to give Disney a penny of my money, but this movie is worth it. And I was going to give it a 7.9. because it's very good, but since they killed off Taskmaster, I'm going to put it in the 8s. It's an 8.0 specifically out of 10. Is it a must-watch? No, but if you go and sit down and watch this movie, it is very enjoyable. I think you should see it.
Yeah, because
it's kind of gives you a little bit of advice, like proper advice.
Oh, yeah. That's, unlike a lot of Marvel movies now where they have dumb messages that, it's just like, racism is bad. Oh, gee, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But now
I remember 1964. Like,
and
what is this?
But then this one's just like, oh, I know this really deep personal thing that you might be struggling with. Well, here's a way that can help you deal with it.
Yeah, so I take
a message
that
actually matters.
Yeah, if you're sensitive to the mental health stuff, go watch this. I think you might enjoy it more than someone who doesn't would.
Yeah.
With that being said, I think more people, especially men, will not tell you that they've had these types of struggles. So I think it's going to connect with a lot more people than even the creators of this movie would have thought.
Yeah.
So
also, if you've seen it once, I've seen this twice, and watching it back a second time, I really understood Bob's character even more the second time, because I didn't really get what his deal was at first, and then when I kind of realized what the messaging was at the end, I was like, okay, now when I decided to watch it my second time through, I was like, okay, let me really pay attention to some of the stuff. And you listen to the way that he talks about himself and the things that he's doing, is like, man, it was very evident since the beginning. I couldn't wait to see this with my friends because I knew I was going to have a good time.
Yeah, of course.
And I miss those days. I miss those days when, like, Star Wars Episode 7, before that came
Guardians
out.
1. When that came out, I was telling my buddy, me and my buddy's dad used to own a comic book store when we were kids, and that might explain why I'm into so much of this stuff. Mm-hmm. I used to go there all the time after school. We'd hang out. I'd buy stuff from there. I still have Superman, Death of Superman in the plastic somewhere. all that good stuff. I was talking to him like, how are they going to make the Guardians of the Galaxy a bunch of characters people have no idea who this is? How are they going to make this work? And they did. Yeah. And the same thing with Thunderbolts, and it makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. But does that mean I'm just going to blindly go to every Marvel movie now?
Yeah, no.
Hell no. All right, that'll do it for us. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think. Have you seen Thunderbolts? Is that something on your agenda, or any of the other movies we've talked about here? Will do it for us. Thanks for watching.
Peace.